Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. I am back in Miami. We're back in the lab with some content coming at you once again, right back on the grind. And today we have some very, very big and breaking news. This was just like 15 minutes ago. So it was a 4-minute video. I saw it right away. I watched it and then I started recording this video, but my mic was muted. Every time I travel and like unplug the mic and then plug it back in, because I took this mic with me to Chicago, came back, plugged it back in. I always forget that I have to set it up in my recording software again. So I recorded this video once and I was really, really happy with it. I thought it came out well. It was muted, so we're trying it again. Some big news coming out of Team Liquid. They just tweeted out this video 15 minutes ago. They said, it's been a few days. We believe you deserve to know what is happening. And then we see Mr. Steve here ready to go. Obviously, this was a very, very disappointing year for Team Liquid in 2022. Didn't make it to MSI, didn't make it to Worlds, didn't make it to either LCS final. Third place in spring, fourth place in summer. The rumors are that they spent, $7 million, $8 million, $10 million, whatever crazy number you hear. And it was just an absolute disaster. And now it sounds like Steve's got some spicy stuff to say. So let's hear him out here.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Steve, co-CEO at Team Liquid. I feel bad that it took us a couple days to get an update to all of our fans. To be really honest, it took me a little bit of time to collect and organize all of my thoughts. I wanted to make sure to provide a lot of transparency. With that being said, I think going into this season, I was completely enamored by the idea of building a roster that would potentially be the best roster that the region has ever seen in the last decade.
And that's crazy because I think a lot of people thought it was going to be like, yes, 2016 TSM was crazy. And yes, even some of those TL teams were crazy. Doublelift and CoreJJ coming together with Jensen. Those were very, very special teams. But man, Bjergsen, Bwipo, Hans Sama with CoreJJ. Santorin has been one of the best junglers in the LCS. He's like top 3 or 4 pretty much all the time. This team seemed special. It seemed different. It seemed like going to Worlds was a formality. It seemed like, hey, they'll probably win a title or two. And I think they even won the lock-in tournament as well. But like, even if they don't win a title, nobody cares because it's all about Worlds. It's all about what is this team going to do? Are they going to be able to make it to like semifinals or something crazy like that? That was where our eyes were at. Our eyes weren't at, hey, are they going to miss Worlds entirely? And like at some point, I understand like they did a good job roster building. Like people were excited about this roster. People thought it was good. Not very many people at the beginning of the year were saying TL's not going to make it to Worlds. But obviously it didn't work, and it didn't work in a big way. This was a disaster, especially with the amount of money spent and with the expectations going into it.
After participating in Worlds for so many times and falling short, going 3-3 in groups, and North America being the host for Worlds was such an incredible opportunity for the organization and for us to demonstrate our excellence and continue to build on our legacy as an organization. So when we built the roster, yes, we spent a lot of money. We also got commitment from a lot of partners. We convinced a lot of stakeholders at Team Liquid that this was the year, and I conveyed as much to all of the players that we were building something incredibly special. All great things come with a certain level of risk.
And that's a very, very big thing to hear Steve say. Like, yes, we did spend a lot of money, and I'm sure it wasn't easy. I'm sure it wasn't easy to convince these stakeholders and these investors and the people shelling out this money to spend that amount of money on a League of Legends team. We hear all the time how unprofitable esports are and how there's barely anybody making money already, even when you're not spending 7, 8, 10, whatever million dollars. So imagine what those conversations were like. But like Steve says, this was an amazing opportunity on North American home soil, where NA viewership is going to be, as good as it ever is, especially if you have a team, if you have a super team that NA fans and EU fans can get behind, and you make some kind of deep run at Worlds while it's in North America. That could be insane for your team and your sponsors and everyone involved. And Steve sold that to everyone. Steve said, hey, this is a risk worth taking. We need to do this. We should do this. This is going to be special. This is going to be the best team that North America has ever seen. And yeah, North America doesn't have the best international results or anything like that, but we've made it to World Semis. We've made it to MSI Finals twice. So, all of a sudden, if we have the best team that North America's ever seen, what can we do? How special can it be? And obviously, the investors, the stakeholders, whoever, got behind that, and they were ready to go, throwing more money than we've really ever seen before. One of the most expensive teams of all time in the world. And it was a failure. Like I said, it was a disaster. So things are going to change because you got to figure they got burnt pretty bad this year. You have to imagine those stakeholders, those investors, they're not feeling so great about what happened this year. They're not ready to do that again. Something's going to need to change. Hey, we took a risk. We gave you guys a chance. But, you're not going to fool us twice. Or, if we keep doing the same thing, that's going to be insane or whatever. So seems like some things might be changing over at Team Liquid.
And unfortunately, we fell really short. I'm incredibly disappointed in our performance. I'm angry at myself for possibly not doing certain things. There's a lot of woulda, shoulda, couldas. There's a lot of regret, but we are where we are. And it's okay to feel that emotion as a fan, as an owner, as a player, but we can't sit in it for a long time. We have to get up and do something about it. And it kind of reminds me of back when we had our Forever Fourth curse and being in that mental state where you don't want to read Reddit, you don't want to read Twitter, you have everyone telling you you suck and what you tried failed, and it doesn't feel great, but you rally and you figure out what's going to be next, and that's what we're doing. So that gets us to next year. The roster will be different.
That is a big statement. The roster will be different. TL in 2023 will not be TL 2022. And then of that, the questions begin of, what does that mean? Who are you changing? Obviously, Bwipo and Hansama as the two new imports coming in. I don't think either of them were all that impressive this year. Hansama had some moments. I think Bwipo maybe had some more moments. But overall, I can't imagine that either one of them was necessarily worth the investment. You obviously have Bjergsen coming out of retirement. Mid lane is way, way harder to replace. So I assume if Bjergsen wants to come back, he will be allowed to come back. I think Hansama and Bwipo are probably on thinner ice. Santorin, he was pretty good. He was maybe the most consistent TL member throughout the year. I don't know if they're down to running back with him or not, or if they have ideas for like a younger jungler or somebody more interesting, exciting. I don't know. And then Core JJ is a free agent. And this was probably Core JJ's worst season as an LCS player. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what TL's thinking. Is he going to retire? Is he coming back? Why is he not signing an extension yet? I don't know. This TL roster is very, very up in the air all of a sudden. None of the players on TL were all that impressive individually this year. So who's safe? Who's coming back? Who's not? I don't know. But Steve tells us that something will be changing. And that's pretty damn spicy.
Doubling down on some of the areas where we've seen incredible success so far, and also the opportunity to build players using the Team Liquid infrastructure.
So that's an interesting quote too. They want to build players up using that Team Liquid infrastructure. And a lot of people right now are taking that as, hey, TL Academy, they're going to call up some players. And I think that could be, but also he doesn't say we're just necessarily going to call up players that we have built using the TL infrastructure. He says we're going to build up players using the TL infrastructure, which means they could also look and go get some other exciting prospects or some younger players or some cheaper players with some talent and potential and stuff, buying up, maybe buying low on some players like not exactly what CLG did this year, but something like that. Obviously, you see the success of like Cloud9 going and getting guys like Berserker and Fudge and stuff like that. So I don't know what it means. It could mean TL Academy. It could mean some other Academy players. Could mean some other young players around the world. I don't know, but apparently they're going away from the super team type model or whatever of just buying up the best players from all over the world. But you got to remember, TL once upon a time was not very good. They were a popular org. They were interesting. Sometimes they were exciting. They had some fans, but they weren't all that successful. And then we hit the paid by Steve era where they started throwing money like crazy. The biggest spending team in the league. They're buying all these players. And then they go back to back to back to back. They start having all the success, blah, 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 blah. But now if the paid by Steve era is over, they're going to have to prove that they can be successful doing something else, which really throughout their history, they haven't proved that they're able to do that just yet. So this is going to be very, very interesting.
Rather than this concept of building super teams, which
he even says, they're not going to build super teams.
Always kind of worked for us to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But I think times are changing. So we're going to be doing a lot of changes. We're in the thick of it this very moment.
And I think that's cool that they notice that times are changing because, yeah, look around the world. Like a lot of teams are getting away from this. Like, yeah, you have Gen G that's like a super team in Korea and stuff right now. But look at the teams that were successful in North America and EU this year. It was not necessarily the traditional kind of super team that Steve's talking about or that TL did this year. Actually, those teams struggled a lot this year for many different reasons.
Every single day, I'm working very closely with the players and the staff to do right by everyone and hold our integrity in the highest regard on how we get to next year. I'm sorry to our partners, our fans, for what has been an epic failure, but I promise you that we have not broken our will, and we will fight, and we are going to prove to everyone that we can do something really special in League of Legends.
So he doesn't really say anything much else. He doesn't actually say what roster changes they're making anything at this time. He just says that, hey, they're starting to get into that roster building process and all of that. But he does say, Super Team era, it's over. TL 2023 will be different. We're going to be building up players inside the TL infrastructure. Very, very spicy. We've already heard, the last couple of months, so many people saying that this is going to be one of the spiciest off seasons of all time. And TL, with this roster, with these players making at least some, if not a lot of changes going into next year, is certainly going to be spicy. Because it's not only going to be who is TL going to bring in, but it's also where are all these players on this current TL lineup, where are they going to end up? In NA, in EU, all these different teams, whatever. If they get teams at all, who knows? Like guys like Jensen and Niski ended up without teams last year. Spicy times are ahead. And times are a-changing for Team Liquid headed into 2023. I very, very much appreciate Steve and TL being open, transparent, and honest. And I'm ready for some roster mania. But yeah, pretty much it for this video today, guys. Let me drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think TL's going to do or what they should do. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.